The founding of the Dragon Slayers Society. The sky burned with the colors of dusk as the ancient hills of Albion stood bathed in the amber glow of a waning sun. The world was quiet here, far removed from the warring kingdoms and restless cities. Yet, in this silence, the echoes of purpose stirred, waiting to be shaped by those bold enough to seek it. It was here, amidst the rugged terrain and whispering winds, that a group of broken souls came together, bound not by blood or creed, but by a shared longing for something greater. Eadric of Blackmere stood atop a jagged outcrop, his armor scuffed and dented, bearing the marks of countless battles. Vigilance, his sword, hung at his side, its blade dull from disuse. He gazed at the horizon, his face lined with the weariness of a man who had fought too long for causes that no longer stirred his heart. Behind him stood a handful of others, each a fragment of a story, yet untold. There was Kyle, the hollowed knight, his once pristine armor now an echo of his former glory. Isella, the healer, her hands trembling as she tended to the wounded, her gentle touch belying a core of unyielding strength. And Valen, the young idealist, his eyes alight with the fire of dreams untested by the cruelty of the world. They had come not by invitation, but by instinct, drawn to this place as though guided by an unseen hand. They bore scars of body and soul, remnants of battles fought in solitude, against foes both seen and unseen. And yet in their shared silence there was an unspoken understanding, a call to adventure that transcended the individual. Eadric turned to face them, his voice steady but tinged with something deeper. "You've all come here for a reason," he said, his words carrying over the wind. "You've faced dragons, monsters that wear the shapes of men, of beasts, of shadows that haunt your minds. But you're still here. You're still standing." Kyle stepped forward, his hollow voice rasping through the helm he refused to remove. "And what of it? We've fought, we've bled, and we've survived. Is that enough?" "No," Eadric replied, his gaze unflinching. "Survival isn't enough. It's never been enough. The dragon isn't just something we fight. It's something we become if we let it, if we lose ourselves to despair, to anger, to fear." Isella's voice, soft yet firm, broke the silence. "Then what are we to do? What's the purpose of gathering here if not to fight?" Eadric stepped closer, his voice rising with conviction. "We gather not just to fight, but to transform, to become more than we are. Alone, we've faltered. Together, we can become something greater, a brotherhood bound by purpose, not to conquer the world, but to conquer ourselves." Valen, still youthful and unscarred by cynicism, nodded eagerly. "A brotherhood, a society of dragon slayers." The words hung in the air, charged with meaning. A murmur rippled through the group as each considered the weight of what was being proposed. They had fought alone for so long, their battles waged in isolation. The idea of camaraderie, of shared burdens and shared triumphs, was both alien and deeply alluring. Their resolve was tested that very night. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the howl of wolves echoed through the hills, joined by the guttural growls of something far more menacing. The ground trembled as a shadowed beast emerged from the darkness. A wyvern, its scales black as midnight, its eyes burning with malevolence. Eadric drew vigilance, its blade catching the pale moonlight. "Stand together," he commanded, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his heart. "We face this as one." Kale raised his shield, stepping into formation beside Eadric. Isella took her place behind them, her hands glowing faintly with healing light. Valen, though his sword shook in his grip, stood firm, his determination shining brighter than his fear. The battle was fierce, the wyvern's claws and fangs tearing through armor and flesh. But for every blow it struck, the fledgling group struck back, their unity forging a strength that none of them had known alone. Eadric's leadership, Kale's defense, Isella's healing, and Valen's unyielding spirit. They were pieces of a whole, a harmony that turned chaos into victory. When the beast finally fell, its body collapsing with a thunderous crash, The group stood together, bloodied but unbroken. They looked at one another, their breaths heavy, their eyes filled with a newfound understanding. As dawn broke over the hills, Eadric stood once more at the outcrop. The others gathered around him. He raised vigilance high, the blade now gleaming as though reborn. "We have slain a dragon," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "But this is only the beginning. The greatest dragons are not those we face with steel, but those we face within ourselves. Fear, doubt, despair. These are the true foes, and together we will overcome them." He lowered the blade, planting it firmly in the earth. "This is our oath, to stand as one, to fight for what is right, not just in the world, but in our own hearts, to grow, to transform, and to help others do the same. This is the Dragon Slayers Society." One by one, the others stepped forward, placing their hands atop the sword. Kyle, his hollow voice steady for the first time in years. Isella, her trembling hands now firm with resolve. Valen, his youthful fire tempered by a deeper understanding. As the sun rose higher, its light spilling over the hills, the group stood together, their shadows stretching long across the earth. They were more than individuals now. They were a brotherhood, a society born of struggle and purpose. And though their path would be fraught with trials and hardships, they knew one truth above all. The greatest treasure lay not in the dragons they would slay, but in the transformation that would come along the way.